Greetings, Earthlings! Welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencer Support Association. I'm your host, Jamie Delzell, and I want you to join us for a trip down another rabbit hole where we find all kinds of unusual and unexplained phenomena. Remember, the first 30 minutes of the show is absolutely free and available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. Head over to Patreon and catch 30 minutes and beyond of extra audio as we dive even further into today's topics, exclusively for our subscribed fans with top secret clearance. Now let's dive right into it. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Happy Thursday here, as always, with Mr. Ryan Stacy.
Hello.
And, of course, our very special guest I want to introduce, author, experiencer, and, multiple experiencer. I don't even know experiencer is, a good enough word for you, Lisa, but experiencer, third-degree black belt in Taekwondo, and just all-around lovely human being, Lisa Savoy.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, and thank you for being here. So just a little bit of backstory, very, very tiny bit before we get into it, is that I don't know if you were aware of this, but we were talking about this the other day, that you were actually Ryan's last case with MUFON and his very, very first case with Tessa. So you're like patient zero and the one that kind of got the ball rolling here. So very excited to have you. I know you got a lot of stuff. Yeah. So if people are listening, you better hold on to your tinfoil hats because it's going to be a dandy. That was good. But anyway, yeah. So I don't want to take any more time here, Lisa. Let's start with your story.
Okay. I remember when I was 3.5 years old. We used to live in a row housing, and at the end of our backyard we had a barbed wire fence and a small man-made hill in back of that with train tracks on it, and behind that was this really huge field. It was huge. And I remember I'll be home at my house. I just get this really strong urge to go to the field. I knew I wasn't supposed to go down there, but it was really strong. It was. So I remember I'd get up, I'd go out my front door, I would turn to the right down the road. It was quite a ways too. I had to walk down a little ways. And there's a part of the hill there where the tracks were, you can go underneath it. So I went underneath there and I took a turn to the right. I walked into the field for quite a ways. And I remember seeing something that looked like the sun. It was sitting there. Then it started moving to the right for a bit. Then it stopped again. Then it started moving into me, getting closer. It was getting bigger. So at first it was white, red, or orange. It was turning colors. But as it started moving closer to me, it changed. It was it had a bunch of small lights going all around it. And it had a really dark pitch black ring around it. And I remember as it got closer, I thought, it's going to set the whole field on fire. I thought it's going to set the field on fire. Then it got really close to the point I thought it's going to land on me. And it was no longer had bright lights around it or the black ring. It's like a huge bronze metallic ball. You can see a reflection of yourself, the field, everything in it. It's like a mirror. And I got down to a certain point. At that time, that's all I could remember. And I've seen this quite a few times, and I remember sometimes I would see it take off before I head back home, and when it did, it went in incredible speed. It's wow, how's it moving so fast? And unaware of the time I was missing, I would leave the field. On the way home, I would meet these kids I knew, and they said, "Lisa, where have you been? Your parents were looking for you for hours." you're in so much trouble. And I thought, what do they mean by that? So I go home. I go in my house. My parents are really angry, really frightened. They're saying, where have you been? And one time my mom said to me, she was almost called the police. Where have you been? You're gone for like a long time. To me, it just seemed like maybe a half hour. That's it. But apparently it was gone like 3 to 5 hours. My mom was talking to me not that long ago. It was like 3 to 5 hours was gone. They couldn't find me anywhere. So out of frustration, she just put me in my room. And I didn't understand what's going on. Well, and I remember one night, first time I ever seen them, I woke up. Something woke me up. So I got up and I noticed my room, like I was staying up this time, my room turned really dark. The temperature changed and the wall on the other side just turned pitch black. And next thing I know, I see these little beings literally walking to the wall. They didn't frighten me when I first seen them. And I remember they had large heads, large, big black eyes. That's the first thing I noticed. And no hair, no ears. They had like holes for a nose, that small slit mouth. And they had these thin, skinny bodies. And they were gray from head to toe. They only had 4 fingers. And I was very curious. I thought, like I started talking to him. I said to him, like, how did you get through my wall? How did you get in my room? I told him my name. I was talking to one of them. And he didn't say anything. He was just looking at me. This is strange. I even put my hand out, as a friendship handshake. He just looked at my hand and looked at me, and he didn't say anything. And I thought, why is he so quiet? And I told him my name, but he didn't tell me his. And they're just really quiet. This seemed strange. I thought, okay, maybe they're shy. So all of a sudden, the atmosphere changed. Something didn't feel right somehow. And I remember there's 8 of them all together. Half of them stepped to my left side, and the other half stepped to my right side. And I thought, what's going on here? And all of a sudden, I just felt like this energy, not just going around me, but through me. It was really strong. I couldn't move. I couldn't twitch a finger. I couldn't even blink or move my eyes. I couldn't move. And the more I fought it, tried to move, it just caused pain, terrible pain. I found it hard to breathe, if I can breathe at all. And I can feel myself being lifted up and pulled forward. I was going towards the wall where they came through. And I couldn't scream or nothing. I wanted to scream, so I screamed in my mind. And I remember screaming for my mother. And that's how I remember at that point. It was terrifying. And the second time I seen them, the same thing happened. Again, I didn't feel afraid, but I felt there was something wasn't right, these people. And I saw them again, and after that, I was terrified of them because I knew they were doing these terrible things to me. They were hurting me. They're taking me to a frightening place. It wasn't until later on in my dreams I was remembering over and over again what they were doing to me.
Sorry, Lisa. So you were about how old when that happened?
I think it's 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's
I remember that too well.
So you never, I know that some people say that they have kind of telepathic thoughts and stuff that kind of happen. Did you have any of that? Did you feel any?
I wasn't until I started seeing them more, I was aware that's how they're communicating. They would communicate with feeling, thought. Sometimes there's little words in there. Like in my mind, they would say my name, or they want me to do something. Like I had to go on a table and they had to do this and that. They use some words, but it's mostly feeling they use to communicate with me. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so that you so you had that experience and then kind of experienced stuff all throughout. Like that happened fairly often.
Yes. Today I'm awake. I'm awake when they come. And the dreams I have are memories of what they did to me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so yeah, go on with where your story from there.
Okay. Another thing too I found very interesting. Sometimes before I see them, I remember I would wake up and from one end of my ceiling to the end, I hear 3 thumps. I hear one, then another one in the middle, and then one at the end of the ceiling. And then we'll start back at the other end, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I thought, what is that? It made me think of a ball bouncing on a ceiling. So I woke my sister up. Sure enough, it would stop. And she goes, hear what? I hear nothing. So she goes sleep again. And sure enough, I'd be standing there, look at the ceiling, it would start all over again. I wake her up again. She goes, what are you talking about? I hear nothing. So she goes sleep again. Third time I woke her up, she was angry. She says, you do this again, I'm going to tell Mom on you. Don't wake me up. I hear nothing. You're silly, whatever. So she went to sleep. I heard it again a few times. And this is when it really gets crazy. It would start from the back wall where they came in, like this horrible scratching, like a large animal is trying to come through. It starts from the top of the wall and it'll work its way all the way down. Like something large is trying to come through the wall. As the scratching progressed all the way through the wall started turning really dark, like pitch black, and temperature change, and they would come right through. No, it was really intense and frustrating because I wake my sister up, it would stop. So, yeah. This happened quite a few times as well.
That's it's funny because you have heard some different stories of that kind of almost like the wall almost disappearing and stuff coming through, almost like, I don't know, I guess portal or some kind of thing like that. There was a question here from Scarborough Sasquatch Station. He asked if there was bright lights or any clicking type of noises during the first encounter.
Any bright lights clicking? No. No.
Okay.
No, I remember that.
Okay. So yeah, you've had a number of experiences with. Did you want to go into some of the, like how do you feel? I think you've talked about like a lot of different things before with the oh shoot. I was like not really not quite remote viewing, but like I don't know. Different people have a different way of saying it or describing that. But you've talked about some kind of stuff like that before, right? Like traveling through
astral projection.
Astral projection. There you go.
Astral projection. I'm not really too much astral projection. No.
Okay.
Sure. So
I'm trying to remember what. Like
I would describe her communication with these beings as some sort of telepathy, some telepathic communication through the mind, based on the research that we've done the way that they have communicated with her in the past. So just so you guys know, Lisa has reported numerous times. I've two of the most significant cases have made it to the website. I have two other cases that are in the works. So she is what's considered a multiple experiencer. And it's the best way we can describe her, because she has almost a plethora or of every single type of phenomenon that exists. So that we have contact with extraterrestrials, we have orbs, we have, which she will get into later, spoiler alert, crafts, and we have different types of beings, and we have sensations, we have remote viewing, telepathy, we have all of these things, except for maybe Bigfoot, but I haven't got into all your cases yet, unless you got something hiding. So when Jamie said she's like patient zero, or that is actually a good point, because when Lisa was my last case for MUFON, I was at that point where I realized that MUFON wasn't good for her in general, because the report that came in was just a bright orb, and as per MUFON's protocols, that was the end of it. Had I not had dug further and followed my heart in the sense of there's something more, I wouldn't have dug into and found all this additional information, which was also later brought out through regression after the fact. So Lisa is now speaking today with an awakened mind, because she's already gone through regression. So she's actually remembering things now, much more detail than she had before. So the beginning of the report, which I would say a year, maybe even 2 years ago when we started, the information collected at the beginning is so small compared to what has been unlocked through the regression. So in part of me following that and just spending that extra time, I just want to say thanks to Lisa, because that's the foundation of what Tessa was built on. The fact that I realized that ufology is just so small in this rainbow of things called paranormal.
Yeah.
And so, if I just want to say thanks, because you are the poster child.
Mm-hmm.
And your courage is should be acknowledged.
Yes, your courage definitely needs to be commended. So thank you for doing that, because you are, I would say, a huge bright light for a lot of people that are too scared to talk about it. They even see now in the chat, like Scarborough Sasquatch Station opening up, that he's seen a lot of different things, as you have as well. So yeah, thank you again, Lisa. We really appreciate this, and hopefully we can help shed some light on all of it for everyone.
Hey Scarborough, there's a link on the banner there. Tell us your story, tell us your stuff, and I'll take a look at it. Alicia, sorry, as you got older, what did your parents and siblings think?
My parents seen that I was struggling terribly with something. Like, I'm gonna say it right now, but I start talking about Angie, there's a couple things that pop me, find very interesting. But my parents knew I was struggling with something. I was terrified of the dark. My mom thought first they were just dreams. My sister says, you're just seeing ghosts. And once I communicated with you guys, reality sunk in with my mom. It terrified her. For a while there, she went in denial. She didn't want to hear anything about it. But right now, she's doing more better with it. And she said things to me. I just often wonder if she may experience it herself. I don't know, but she's handling it better. My dad's more open to it. Like, it shocked him too, but he's not as afraid to admit it as my mom is, I think. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but, she has seen things. He says, I won't say too much right now. I don't want to spoil it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I still have cases that I haven't investigated yet, so it's very important that my mind isn't tainted with until I get a chance to look at it.
My
So,
sister was a little involved with it. So
And
thank
sorry, your sister is open to it all now, and
I'm not gonna go too far. I'll wait till we get there. Yeah, I want
right.
to Angie in the next part. So
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So we'll go back,
good
go
ones.
backwards a bit.
Yeah,
you want to talk about Angie?
sure.
Okay, I'm gonna go find her while you're talking about her.
Yeah, she was a little girl. I never heard of Nordic aliens. I never knew what they looked like. And I remember some without hypnotism, but when she put me under, it brought out more. And but I never knew what a Nordic looks like. I never knew, like their eyes, what they wore, and I never heard of a triangle craft. So it's like, how do I know all this? Like I've seen all this, so it makes you think. I never knew what an alien was, or never heard of that. I used to call the Greys the little people when I was a little girl. Yeah. Okay, I'll start talking about Angie. I remember one night something woke me up. Again, something woke me up. And I sat up and I noticed somebody was tapping on the window. And I looked, oh, it's a woman. What's she doing outside my window? Because this is a two-story house, a row house. And next thing I know, she just walked right through the window on the wall. She walks in. She starts talking to me. And it's like, how does she know my name? Like, who is she? And I sit on my bed to the side. And she sits down and starts talking with me. And one time she says, Lisa, she says, I want to show you something. So I thought, okay. She gets up and she goes through the wall again. But it's not black. It's not cold. It's comfortable. It's like, how is she going through the wall? It didn't even look like, it's like, how's she doing it? It's still quite solid. So I got up and I followed her. As I was about to step out, I froze. I was terrified. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to fall. There she is floating down to the ground, my front lawn. And I'm there like, I'm going to fall. And she says, Lisa, she says, trust me. She says, you're not going to fall. It's safe. You can come down. But as I passed through, it felt like liquid. And as the second I went through, it turned dark. So I was a little, afraid because I hadn't before. So I trust her. I stepped down and I could feel a force pulling me. But it wasn't uncomfortable. Like I still can move, like I kind of moved around. And I went down to the ground. And I know she was looking to the right, and I thought, what's she looking at? And I started running over, but she grabbed a hold of me. And I thought, why is she grab a hold of me? Anyway, she told me to walk slowly. And she told me to bring my hand up and walk in that direction slow. And I thought, why? So as I walked closer, I noticed there's a blurry spot. It's weird. It's just like, for some reason, I was looking, it was turning like a funny blur. And I got closer, and this blur started taking shape. And when I got really close to it, my hand out slowly. I can feel something, and I got really close to it. I can see my reflection. It's like looking into a mirror. It was smooth, like it's just like in one piece of metal over it. I felt warm, and I can see my reflection. She was on my left side. I can see her a bit, and I thought, what is this? It's a floating triangle. It's like a triangle. How's a triangle fly? It's not a really wide triangle. It's like more like a narrow piece, something like a wedge triangle shape. And I looked underneath it. There's no landing gear. And I thought, what the heck is this? I went underneath it. She let me go underneath it. And I noticed a piece underneath it. It looks something like a raindrop or a teardrop. and it's only a small piece. It's in the middle underneath it, and I remember touching it. I thought, what is this? Then she told me to come out underneath it. I walked around slowly, and I went in front of it, and it's like a really sharp point in front of it. And I looked up. I could see the top piece on top. It's another triangle, but you couldn't see any windows or anything. It's like a mirror, all one piece mirror. Then she took me in back. She took hold of my hand, and we floated on top of it. Her and I floated on top of her ship. It was kind of cool. And sometimes when you look down on top of her ship, you can see the stars and you can see the moon reflecting off from top of her ship. And on top of her ship it looked black because instead of silver, because she was stuck in the night sky. And it was really neat. It's like, and we're standing on top of the top piece. And I thought, how we get in this? There's no entrance in this thing. You don't see nothing, windows or nothing. And I noticed, it's like when you take a rock and you drop in the water and you see like a circle, how it opens up like a circle. Oh, that's how it opened, like that. It looked like liquid. And it opened up and it's like really bright white inside of it. So we went in. I was on the right-hand side. Right-hand side. She was on the left. And we sat in the seats. And next thing I know, the seats just slid forward by themselves. And my legs are a little bit underneath the piece in front. And it was all white inside. And you can see outdoors. You can see the houses in front of you. Like you can see through the windows when you're inside. It's really neat. And I remember how they're shaped like a triangle. Like they want to something like this. And you sit inside it, and it points out in front of you back. And you see like a white piece in the middle, going in the middle of the window. And on the side, you see another piece, like a frame, something like a seat on the side where the glass was at. And I'm sitting there. Next thing I know, I didn't know right away. You don't feel nothing. You feel no movement, nothing. Next thing I know, we're soaring through the sky. I felt no movement. You don't, like you're in an airplane. You hear the engine going. You feel you're moving. This thing is like, you felt nothing at all. And we're moving. I look down the sky. We're moving, look down at the window, like down at the ground. We're moving so fast. The whole ground was just like a blur. You couldn't tell where you're at. It's just blurry. It was crazy. We're going that quick. And when you turn, you're going this way, then you just say, no, you turn going the other way. Like your turns look like the maneuvers and that same. Like it just took you seconds to go from one spot to the next. It was crazy. And I remember, I believe it was Lake Erie, and I can't remember the other spot, but she took me underwater in this thing. And it was crazy. Just the entry and re-entry going on the water was phenomenal itself. But it was fascinating. It's like going in a sub, not a spaceship. And she can move so free in the water too. Oh yeah, there's nothing to it. And she done it to me first few times. Like she didn't take me up in space right away, maybe a couple weeks. But anyways, I remember one time she took me out. And we were moving, we were going up, and I swear a matter of seconds, we were over the earth, flying around it. No time, we were up in space. And the world's not flat, believe me.
There you go. That's awesome. Oh man.
It is round, beautiful, it's hard. What you see when NASA does videos, that's
well played. Well played.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, big blue, beautiful.
That's awesome. On that note, we do have to take a quick break, but let's.
Before we go to break and kill the buzz, and while everything is still on, I just want to throw in a point that the description of the craft and everything inside was post regression, and what I really like about this case is that none of this stuff is familiar. It's all unique. It's all specific, and it's not made up because there's logic and there's science, and I got a report to support everything up. But that's what I really like about this, because it's not your cookie cutter case.
Yeah.
If it sounds fucked up, pardon my French, you know, it's something really happened. And then you're going to talk about the maze later.
The what?
Well, you're gonna have to now.
You're going to have to talk about So when we get into the maze later,
Oh yeah.
you know, these are details. You know, we like knowing what the crap looks like and how it moves is one thing. But when we come back, maybe Lisa will tell you what it looks like inside. And
Yeah.
that is a whole.
And
different
they're putting it together is fascinating. It's wow.
Okay. We'll be right back.
Yes.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Put your popcorn in.
We are the ones in the dark. We are the first on the scene. We are the last to leave. We will counsel you. We will comfort you. We will save your life. We are the unsung. We are the underdogs.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, where together, my friends, we own the night. On our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a place called the SOR Sightlines Report. All of our investigations and people who inquire are turned over to TESSA, the Experiencers Support Association. Ryan Stacy and his crew, what I like about them, they're independent. They're not working for anybody, and they want answers. We want answers for our listeners and people who inquire as well about their experiences. It's a great tandem, and we love being teamed up with Tessa. If you haven't heard of us before, that's okay. We'd love to earn your listening ears. Join us 9:06 Pacific Time, 12:06 a.m. Eastern for 3 hours of live entertainment, 7 days a week.
Hi, this is Ernie Hudson, Winston Zedmore from Ghostbusters. I want to let you know that Ryan Stacy, he's created the Experiencer Support Association, TESA. You can check them out at www.tesacan.org. Now, they investigate paranormal, UFO, and provide support to experiencers. You can check them out at, like I said, www.tesacan.org and see for yourself if they're really Ghostbusters. I can tell you this, they are a non-profit organization. So good luck, have fun, and keep on busting.
Have you ever wondered if there were others just like you? People with extraordinary abilities and unique intuitions. People who experience unusual and paranormal events. People who have more questions than answers. You are not alone. Experiencers Anonymous. visit tessacan.org.
Hi.
Remember back.
Hi.
Could,
Hey.
Yes.
could you guys see me dancing?
All right. So let's.
No, you couldn't see
No.
me dancing? Good. I was dancing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all know that you were
I'll
dancing.
continue on.
Yeah. We might as well get right. Yeah.
Okay. Before I forget, there's one thing
Yes.
I want to say really interesting. I remember one night when Angie took me out, as I was passing through the wall, I was a very curious child. I kind of paused. So what I did, I stuck my hand out to the left side. And it was the most, I can remember that so clear. It was the most freakiest thing. When I stuck my hand out to the side, it felt like she just neatly put a cut through the wall. Where I touched, I could feel where the wooden brick is at. This is like she just cut a really neat exit. I can feel it was solid. It was the coolest thing. Yeah. And I picture in my mind, she carved out a doorway. And that's how it's going through. Remember that.
That's new information. I haven't heard that one yet.
No, there's so much, Ryan. It's just
Yeah, I know. I know. I gotta take care of everybody else too, you know.
Yeah, no, as I say, it's too much. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I think I mentioned that to Lizzie. I'm not sure if it was through the hypnotism or when I was talking with her.
Well, there's still one regression that I haven't listened to, and that's because I know it's another rabbit hole. What's that? Sorry.
It's in my journal.
Okay.
My journal is not going to be much bigger than Wes's, but believe me, there's a lot of info in there. A lot.
Good. Did you want to talk about what you're doing with that?
Right now, the editor still has it. It's been over a couple months, so. But right now, I've written out the dedication part and the acknowledgement part. I'm still working on the biography, and I'll be sending that to her soon. So, but the editor has the other part.
And that's it's about your encounters and your stories and your events, right? Right. Cool. I'm excited.
Yeah. No, it's just so much.
Chantel had a question just before we hit the break. She's asking you if Angie ever told you where she was from.
I believe she was Nordic. If she did tell me, I don't really remember. Like the furthest I ever got, like her culture and that is the hangar. And that is actually outside our solar system. It's not in our solar system. So
the hangar is a place?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's huge. You couldn't land on this planet. It is huge. It's a mothership. And it's like a triangle. So it doesn't have the piece on the top. It's a huge triangle.
Is that in that regression thing that I haven't listened to yet?
I don't remember. I did 6 all of them all together.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to listen to it now.
And I'm going to tell you something. My sister actually seen Angie once. I remember I was following her out. I heard a movement. But my sister is down the other side of the wall, the same side the window's on. And I looked and I saw this dark finger getting out of bed as my sister. And I said, Angie, she sees us. She sees us. She says, don't panic. Just come out. Just follow me. So I went outside. But she was getting out of bed and she seen me. And I didn't know at that time, but my mom was saying when she put my sister to bed, my sister said, Mom, I see a woman standing at her window. And as my sister was talking to her about that, my mom had a mental image of how she looked like. I never told my mom how Angie looks like. I never told my sister how Angie looks like. And I said, Mom, how does she look like? And Christina's telling me about her being in the window. It wasn't that long ago I was talking to her about that. And last year. But I said, how does she look like? And she described me in full detail. Her hair, there's a certain thing about her eyes, her face, what she's wearing, everything in full detail, what she looks like. And I never told her. I never told my sister. And it wasn't until like years later, Christina goes, did I ever tell you about seeing this woman in the window? I go, what's she look like? She told me the same thing, the split in image, how she looks like.
Huh.
Yeah, I never told him. Never.
Wow.
That's confirmation too. That's good.
Yeah.
That's like, how do you? Because you know what you saw, and if you kept it inside and in your mind, and you didn't tell anybody, and then somebody else, and if even for a second you were thinking, you know what, it was a dream, and then somebody else describes the same thing as as strange and unusual as it is.
Yeah.
That's
It's got to make you feel a little.
circumstantial evidence, I guess, but that's still, you feel that.
Yeah. I just wanted to say something quick. For those people that are maybe not too into the ufology and alien side of things, Nordic, if you want to, is almost like a hybrid, right? What would be the best way to describe a Nordic?
Nordics are the Pleiadians, from the Pleiadian race, allegedly. I have to say allegedly. I don't know for sure.
Right.
The reason why they're Nordic is because up north, Scandinavian type camps is where they originated. I guess where they either are or originated or landed from Earth or to Earth. Pardon me.
And even kind of resemble, right?
They do resemble the elves, you would see in like Lord of the Rings or the elf race, essentially, with the pointy ears and the blonde. It's actually the blonde hair, blue eye, not Aryan, pardon me, blonde eye, blue eye, blonde hair, blue eye, Atlanteans, right? We get. The reason why I said Aryan because I was thinking of Hitler, but like because Hitler. Well, no, because Hitler was always had an interest in the blonde hair, blue eyed people because he believed that they possessed the God gene belonging to the blonde hair, blue eyed people from Atlantis or Lemuria or Mu, depending on what part of the world you're from. So the connection to that is the Pleiadian star seeds or the star system. So what? For context, when Lisa had said she did not know what a Nordic was,
No.
that is true, because when she described it to me and I inputted it in the report, it was me sending a link to her asking her if this is what she saw, and she had confirmed through a link that I had shared the resemblance. But the thing is too, which I also like, was like, yeah, it looked like that, but it wasn't like that. Because the gray, the stereotypical gray that we see has become a marketing icon.
Yeah.
And I love when people just say like, it looked like a gray, but it wasn't a gray. It's like I look like I look like Brad Pitt, except for my face is different. It's those details are important.
Yeah.
So, long story short,
Yes.
Nordic is a race of extraterrestrial beings, allegedly from the star constellation Pleiades.
Thank you.
Which, Jamie, is above the senior warden's chair in the Masonic Lodge.
Another thing I found about my experience is the Nordics. A lot of people are talking about spiritual. Mine's cultural and technology. I find that interesting. Even at the ACE, like there's people there, so they're connected Pleiadians. But I told them about my experience, but I found they're more into spiritualism, religion. And I found that really different than mine. Yeah, I found that interesting.
Yeah.
Well, just like we have different languages, different cultures, different traits and habits and stuff. Why can't they have a different corms with them too? So you might be experiencing. They might all be experiencing the same being, but their family, their inheritance, not their inheritance, their genetics, habits, mannerisms,
Yeah.
Why can't they have a personality? That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Why can't they have a personality?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a decent question there from.
Yeah, Marley asked the question: what are the aliens that talk with clicking, chirping sounds, almost the chipmunks, like the chipmunks do in the telepathy? Do all aliens take or communicate with humans? Can any of you guys answer that?
I personally can't. And have you ever experienced anything like that, Lisa?
No.
No.
Like I experienced Nordax, the guys, and reptilians, but the reptilians didn't even talk to me that way. No.
So Marley, you are talking about a specific sound, and you're asking if all aliens take or communicate with humans. Like there are allegedly numerous types of races and beings of aliens. It's very there's so much that many people did see. So if that's a question in general, I'm sorry I don't have an answer on that because I haven't come across anything that resembles that. But if that's a personal experience, the link that's scrolling here below, you could make a report and I'll look into it and try and find you a personal answer because you'll have more details to provide that will help us kind of come to a logical conclusion. Like Lisa's original report to MUFON, because the way that it was set up was just basically describing the orb as she saw it in the sky.
With MUFON, they're more interested in the object. They're not really interested into extraterrestrial contact. I noticed that with them. I find they seem to concentrate more on the object. Yeah.
Yeah, because it
just struck me as odd. Like,
well, it's not odd if you understand. The objects are important because they're trying to figure out what's in our airspace and national security and all that other stuff, and they have people that work for the airspace and Air Force paying them to assist with things like that. It's there's government connection, so it makes sense to what they're looking for. But they're also not trained, and like as a director of training, who was responsible for training field investigators, they're not equipped. They're not knowledgeable enough to. They don't even teach how to look into this stuff. And how do I know how to do that? I just know how to investigate. I'm an investigator. So I just asked questions, and your questions dictated more questions, and I found answers, and then I have more questions than answers, and it's still an unsolved riddle. And then so MUFON is not equipped to handle experiencers not because they're inadequate, but because they're a mutual UFO network. They're not the mutual experiencer network. That's why we're the Experiencer Support Association. So in the scheme of things, ideally, we would like to be a referral or an assist or the next level to what MUFON does. But we'll save that for this is.
Yeah, we only have about 10 minutes left, so would love to get more into the story here, Lisa.
Is there anything you want me to talk about the maze game? Do you want me to bring some of that in?
Yeah, let's talk about the maze.
Okay, I remember. I'm not really sure how old I was. I'm trying to remember the age, the time period. Like, I don't know if it was 4, 5, somewhere in there, but maybe 3.5. I'm not really sure. But I remember they had something like we had to learn these symbols. And they had something cross between more like an office space than more like a classroom like you see in school. And I remember it was a white room that had like a rectangle table in the middle, and they had chairs. Like they just kind of slid across the floor. And I remember there's a door on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, they had like shelves. Like they're like literally right in the wall. There's like a metal, sort of metal color. and that's where we had something like a iPad. It was all white. And I remember we had something like that. You can use a pen or even your finger, like your mind. You can use either one. And we had, like, they have symbols already on it. And we had to memorize those. So we copied them down. And then we had to remember them on our own. We had to do it without looking at it. And we've done that for a bit. There was me, another girl, and there's 2 other boys. And there's one girl there. She's always nervous. She's a little teary-eyed. She just didn't want to be there. So we do that for a while. And I remember we used to walk down the hall. It was all white. It had some like lights going up down the sides of the wall. They took us down to an end. And there's a door there. The door opened up. But this room was different. Like it was the walls were like a medium gray, and there wasn't much lighting in there. Like the room was darker. It wasn't lit up like the rest of the place. And we go in there. We go in. We walk in. It's like a rectangle shape. We walk in. We go step into the right hand end, and down the other end, there's like 2 doors there. One part would go to the left side, the other part would slide open to the right side. And you can see like 9 entrance ways. Like there's 3 on the top, there's 3 on the bottom, the middle, then 3 on the bottom. And they had like lights around them on the outside. And you can see inside them, like there were like a white bluish color lights. And it wasn't really bright in there either. And I remember they had like a chain ladder. You would use that to go into the middle level or the top level. Like the ones on the floor, you just went down. And what happened was when I first started, they had me go on the very bottom one on the left-hand side. And we had our own different ways of going in, like different spots. So the first time I went in there was the bottom left. After you go in there, after we all got in there, they would slide the door shut. And you knew that's it. You were stuck in there. You couldn't come out till you'd done it. And the feeling you got, them close those doors behind you, it wasn't very pleasant. You're stuck on your hands and knees. And you had like lights, long thin lights running on the bottom of the floor, on top, like on the side, on the wall there, and on top, they're above you as well. And the corners, they were curved. And in each turn there's lights on the side there as well. And there was symbols running along the side of these lights, like on bottom of the floor. And where you turn, you see a couple in the middle of these lights where you had to go around, which turn you had to go. And it was very intense. You had to stay on your hands and knees. And if you went too fast, you'd get lost because you really had to keep an eye on the symbols. You had to know what the symbols meant. You had to know which way you're going. Because if you went the wrong way, you have to turn around and go back and figure out where you're going. And it was in different levels. And I remember if sometimes I'd be going down, I'll be up too high. I remember I'll be going through it. And at the end there, still lights, it's like openings, like different shapes, openings, right? And you go up and you can look out to these openings. And I can see, I was way up here and the trees are down below me. I thought, oh my God, I gotta go down lower. And they had something like a ramp. And you would go down this ramp to go down to different levels. Either go down or up, depending where you want to go. Yeah, but you had to know which ramp to take. You had to know which turns to take. It was crazy. And if you didn't do time, there's a certain time limit. If you didn't do it a certain time, it would completely lock the thing down. It would just shut down. and you had to go back and do it all over again. But when you finish doing that, you'd be on the very bottom level. And when you get to the end, you can actually feel like a breeze blowing in. And you get excited, like you knew, okay, it's almost finished. It's because it would blow into the end openings. But every level, they actually had different shapes. Like I just shown you one picture, like the circles and the triangles, but the other ones were different shapes. And you go to a certain one. If you had to push it, if it didn't open, sometimes you're banging them, desperate to get out. And it was intense. And you push open, it'll flip up, like a pop up open, and you would slide out like there's a certain type of energy that keep you from falling down to the ground, and you would slide out. You go feet first out. Then after that, you had to run to a certain spot. And like there's different areas that had different trees there. You had to run to the right spot with these trees. You had to stand there after you ran there, and you had to wait till everybody else came. And then they would pick you up and take you home.
Jamie, are you okay?
I'm just trying to picture it. Did you ever get
crazy?
any?
I remember that very well. It was intense. It was.
Did you ever get any impression of why that would be? Like what the point was?
Don't know. To this day, I really don't know. I couldn't say.
And the symbols, you said you knew what they meant. Do you still know what they mean?
It's kind of blurry, but I remember like they're kind of etched on the lights, and they had like margins, like lines, and they were black and they were raised. You can, if you knew enough, you didn't have to look down. Honestly, just put your hand there. You can tell by the feel of it which one it was. Once you knew enough.
Were the symbols like directions?
There were directions, and some were shown, okay, for example, you're going down one spot, you may see more than one turn. So you had to figure out, is it this turn or to see more down? You had to do that as well. And you had to figure out which ramp to go down and how far you had to go down.
And when you made a mistake, what would happen? You went back to the beginning?
Oh, I backtrack.
Okay, yeah.
And hopefully I figured out if I didn't, I have to do it all over again.
Do you know if anybody never completed it? You know what happens to people who didn't complete it?
There's one girl, she didn't make it. Like
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, she's nervous, crying. One time it was kind of scary. We were there waiting at the trees, and like, where is she? Where is she? And we just heard this horrible screaming, like she was getting hurt, like something was hurting her. And we never seen her after that. All I heard was just like this horrible screaming. She didn't make it.
That's what I was kind of leading to, because I remember you mentioning that, and there was just the one that didn't make it. So I think with what you've described and what you've drawn and what I can see and what I can hear, like there's some sort of testing or experimentation going on. But it seems to be a positive encouragement because they want you to be successful in these events. But you know, like the fact that you're figuring out and learning it, and there's a bunch of other people and you're completing it, shows that this, I guess, the intelligence or the cognitive behavior that is needed to complete these complicated tasks are present in you, as well as many others who may have also been on this craft. So I just want to throw a call out there. If anybody has ever, heard this before, seen this before, please reach out, because, maybe you were on the ship. Wouldn't that be something?
And number two, there's other groups as well, because when this girl left, they had another girl come in with me. I think the reason why they put another girl with me is because to make me feel more comfortable. But she knew everything about this maze. She was good at it. She was doing it for a while. And I think the only reason why they gave me her because she's a girl. And I don't know if I mentioned this to you in my journal. The thing about this test are mostly boys. So if you're a girl, you are unique. It's mostly boys. Yeah. I found that interesting.
Very interesting.
So we are out of time,
Okay,
but
yeah.
there are a couple questions left. So how about we run through those questions, and then for those of you guys who aren't Patreon members, we're gonna do a Patreon half hour or so with Lisa, and we'll probably dive deep into. I was trying to think of something. There was something you haven't mentioned that I thought was interesting.
Patreon it is.
But we'll go to Patreon and we'll dive even deeper into this. But so, which question do you want to throw up there, Jamie?
Oh, I don't know. I think the last one's probably the safest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find you are sensitive to electricity, vibrations, or change in the atmosphere? Maybe before they visit you.
I see vibrations. I can tell when they're coming. I know. I can feel when they're coming. Even during the day, I'm known to know, okay, I'm going to be seeing them. I'm known to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Well, let's. I just want to thank you again for this, Lisa. We will definitely have you back, and I know there's still a lot more we need to tackle, but we'll go for those of you that are Patreon members. Come and you'll get to hear some more of this. Those that aren't, spend that $7 and get on in.
It's only $7 a month, and you get a whole bunch of bonus content. You get the last video I did was debating the world. Shape of the world, and I'll announce it for the first time because I've been delayed on making my post. But next month's Patreon special is on New Jersey Devil.
Ooh.
So it's going to be a cryptid and a demon and paranormal, all kinds of fun things. But yeah, so we'll catch you over on the other side. Thank you, Lisa. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Feed the world.
That's it for another journey into the fringe. Thanks for joining us here on Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. Catch us next week and follow us again into the realm of mystery and unknown.
For access to the entire episode and more, head to Patreon and find us under the Experiencer Support Association. You can also follow us on Facebook on our page, the Experiencer Support Association, TUSA, and on Instagram, Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.